Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Adrienne Montgomery, and I'm with ERP VAR. Today we're going to be talking about Sage 100 and automating order processing with integrated e-commerce, manufacturing, WMS, and payments. Today I'm joined by Craig Jacobs, president of Clearnine. He's going to be talking about the e-commerce portion today. Joseph Genders, president shareholder over at Vrakas, Blum. He'll be presenting JobOps. He's an expert in manufacturing and the integration with Sage 100. Andrew Neal over at Scanco, software sales specialist. And Patty Benitez, Vice President of Channel over at American Payment Solutions. Just a little bit of housekeeping notes before we get started. If you can just look at your webinar pane right next to your name, you'll see that there's a question mark button. If you should have any questions during the presentation, we just ask that you click on that question mark button and a dialog box will open up where you can go ahead and key in your question. We'll reserve those till the end and announce those for our panelists in order of receipt. And thanks so much again for joining us today. We have Clearnine with us, and they are experts at design and creating any type of e-commerce web solution. They've been working with Sage 100 since the late 80s. With over 2 decades of building websites, they offer a unique blend of skills ideal for Sage 100 web integration and experts in Sage 100 as well. Vrakas Blum Computer Consulting, they've been implementing JobOps and Sage 100 manufacturing software for over 20 years. They are the all-time JobOps sales leader and experts in Sage 100 cloud manufacturing. And they've been implementing Sage products for over 25 years, and they're top Sage resellers in the Midwest region. And Joe will be presenting the JobOps solution over at Vrakas Blum. And we are also joined by Scanco. They're an OEM partner. They're a leader in WMS applications for Sage 100 since 1989. They are experts in distribution, manufacturing, and they offer a seamlessly integrated real-time WMS application to interact with Sage 100 out there on the manufacturing and warehouse floor via iOS, Android, and Windows devices, so those personnel can be remote interacting with the barcodes and everything necessary out there to do their jobs with those remote devices. And then we also have Patty Benitez, who's going to be talking about American Payment Solutions. They're a leading merchant services provider for software companies, distribution, manufacturing, leading integration with credit card processing integration with Sage 100. They cover United States and Canada. Full merchant services provider for small, medium, large organizations. And a little bit about the workflow we'll be talking about today. We're going to talk about how an order comes into the e-commerce website through Clearnine and WordPress. And that order comes into Sage 100 where customers can place and track orders 24/7, see their tracking numbers, interact with all their order data. And we're going to be talking about how there's a salesperson portal, a customer portal, how JobOps can help with the manufacturing, installation, and service of that product. Joe will talk a little bit about the drag and drop manufacturing scheduling board. Andrew will talk about automated picking and packing out in the warehouse with those Android, Windows, and iOS devices. And Patty will talk about level 3 credit card processing and getting the best rate for your order through credit card processing using level 3 data. So taking all of that important information from Sage and using it to your advantage to get the best possible credit card processing rate. And it's great because it's also PCI DSS compliant. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and Craig get started talking about the e-commerce order entry. Thank you so much, Craig.
Very good. Thanks, Adrienne. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take you guys briefly through, kind of a standard e-commerce integration and talk about how you can integrate e-commerce with Sage 100, and taking care of pricing and availability and things like that. and I'm going to branch off into a few other areas as well. So one of the things I wanted to touch on is that e-commerce, means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. In this particular case, we're talking about a web presence. We can also do direct integration with other people's, other companies' services, web services. We can do direct integration with Amazon or eBay to collect orders. But another important aspect of having a web e-commerce, an e-commerce site is the marketing aspect of it. So these days, not only do you want just a portal where people can place orders, but typically you want a full-blown web presence. You have to worry about search engine optimization, design and marketing and all of that stuff. And so our solution leverages the power of WordPress, which is probably the #1 website building platform. It's open source. It's available to anybody who wants to use it. And so, for example, you can build a nice, very good looking, responsive website. Responsive means it'll work on a phone or a tablet. And with the WordPress platform in particular, you can create as many pages as you like. Your marketing company can get in there and create as many pages as you like. There's all kinds of things you can do to optimize the pages for Google and Bing and the other search engines. So, but keep in mind as we're going through the demo that everything that has to do with items, all this information is being sourced directly from Sage 100. And that means, for example, the description, the pricing, the item image, long description and short description. So just to kind of demonstrate this, if you notice I have some price breaks here for this particular item, I'm going to go ahead and log in. Now, once I've logged in, you'll notice that my pricing and my price breaks have changed. That's because I'm logged in as a user that's connected to a Sage customer that has either customer specific or price level pricing. So the website will calculate pricing exactly the same way that Sage does. So if you're selling, for example, both retail and wholesale, and you have a bunch of customers that have very specific pricing, then when they log in, that's what they will see. They'll see their pricing. And then once the customer's logged in, they also have access to all of their information. So they can look at their, their address information. They can see their aging, for example, all of their orders. They can drill into orders and take a look at that. They have access to all of their invoices. And we have a couple different views of invoices. I mean, typically we wouldn't turn all these tabs on for a website. We would work with you to figure out what you wanted to show your customers. We have open invoices, which shows customers not only the invoice, but payments and credits and debits. If you're using Sage Payment Services or American Payment Solutions or any of the other integrated credit card solutions, of course we like American Payments, you can do online bill pay. So for example, the customer can come in here and select a couple of invoices, and they can just come right up here and enter their credit card information and submit that. And then what this will do is this will create a cash receipts entry in Sage and pay that invoice off. So this is a way that you can get your, get your customers to pay their invoices quickly. We have access to all the items the customers ever purchased. So this, and the last time they purchased it. And again, all this information is coming directly from Sage 100. So with that, let's go ahead and place an order. And let's do this. So I've added an item to my cart. I can do a checkout. Now I'm logged in, so it already knows all about me. All this information is coming from Sage. So this is all the customer information from the customer master file in Sage. It knows about all my ship to addresses from Sage. I can pick one. I can add a new one. We can do freight in various different ways. This particular instance, we're actually taking the weights of the items that are set up in Sage, and we're going out to UPS to get freight estimates based on the weight of what we're shipping and where we're shipping it to. So I can confirm my order. I can do a payment here. Now what's going to happen is when I submit this order, it's going to go out to APS, American Payments, and it's going to get an authorization, and then that order, along with that authorization and all that payment information, is going to go straight into Sage 100. So that it can then just be processed like any other order. And so we can just take this order number and we can go right into order entry. Just paste it in there, it should be in there. So there's the order that just came in from the website. It's using the same order number that the website gave to the customer. There's the item that we ordered, and you can see the pricing matches. You can see that there's the freight that we calculated, and on the payments tab, you can see that we've done a pre-authorization, and here's all the credit card information with the authorization information. So when that order is shipped, then all the credit card transactions will just happen automatically for you. So one of the things to consider when you're thinking about e-commerce is not only do you want to take orders from your customers directly, do you want to take orders from retail or wholesale customers, but also consider, do you want to take orders from a marketplace like Amazon or eBay? Do you have salespeople that you would like to provide access to information to? Because our application is not only e-commerce, but it's really a platform for integration and a platform for data. So for example, let's say you have salespeople in the field. We have a mobile sales portal for salespeople, and they can go look at all their information. So for example, they can see what their average sales, and if they have any opportunities sitting out there, they can drill into their customers. For example, they can go look at a particular customer of theirs, and they can see their customer contacts. They can see information about aging, and if they have late payments, and get some graphs. Maybe we can show them, you know, these are the top items that this customer's purchased. These are the items that the customer really isn't purchasing. All right. We have, and this platform is really designed. It has a lot of default reports, but it's really designed as a platform to customize. Like, what kind of reports do you want to have for your salespeople? We can look at summary information like year-over-year comparisons. They can look at their customers' orders online, for example. And of course, it's mobile, but it also runs just fine on a regular desktop. So let me just close that. So for example, there's that. And you know, in addition to that, what about leads? Well, the salesperson can manage their leads, and they can see, you know, lead rating and lead status. They can easily add a new lead. They can edit an existing lead. And of course, they can do all this from their phone or from their tablet, as well as from a computer. Or maybe you want to distribute commission reports to your salespeople, but you want to do it in a more automated fashion. We can support things like that as well. So for example, the salesperson can log in, they can get access to, say, their commission reports, or maybe you guys have a new price list update. And so that's all I wanted to get into with this right now. But just the main thing I want to leave you with is e-commerce and data integration with Sage 100 is kind of a big thing, and it can mean a lot of things to a lot of different companies. And we just want you to think of us as your platform for integration and for, you know, disseminating data to your customers and your salespeople internally. So with that, we have an order that's sitting in Sage waiting to be processed, and I'm going to turn it back to Adrian.
Where Joe will pick up the details of the order and process the order if it's for manufacturing. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it off over to Joe.
All right, thank you. All right, so one of the, JobOps has become Sage 100 Cloud Manufacturing. That's a lot of words to say. I'm going to just refer to JobOps. It basically means both. One of the competitive strengths historically has been the ability of the software to handle mixed modes of manufacturing and also service. One of the best sweet spots is when a company has to make, install, and service their software, because there's a lot of competition that can't necessarily do all that. So I'm going to just briefly review. I have a flow chart here that just covers all the different modes of manufacturing and service that we can do. So from order entry, we could create a make-to-order job, and that could be engineer to order. It could actually be a project that we're doing, and we're able to do that. In that scenario, a lot of times we'll start with a template. That'll be the basic structure of the job, but because it's custom, that'll have to be tweaked. In the case of an engineer to order, it might be designed in CAD. We can import the bill of materials from the CAD system right into the work ticket, and then kind of take it from there. So we have the ability to copy from a template, from an open work ticket or a history work ticket. So if there's a repeat order of something that was custom, we can copy it. We can start from the one in history and go from there. A great tool that we have is the product configurator. So if the company's a configure to order situation, like if you're configuring a Dell computer on the website, it works just like that, and it's a dynamic way that you can create and price your sales order, and also create the work ticket to manufacture that custom item. From order entry, we can do installation or service tickets. There's a couple different ways we can do that. There's an order-based service ticket, which facilitates a time and materials. We can start a service ticket on a sales order that has no lines on it, and then based on the labor and materials that go into there, then that creates the billable lines. In the case of an item-based service ticket, we're able to tell it how many items we're servicing, and then each step within the service ticket is linked to a different piece of equipment that we're servicing, so that we can keep service history separate, but really have one service ticket to accommodate multiple items. We can obviously sell things from stock. Along with that, the material planner within the software, we're able to create make to stock work tickets to either create sub-assemblies or to create stock that we might want to keep on hand. And then with the field service software, we're able to create service tickets on the fly for break fix type items. We're also able to set up preventive maintenance schedules and generate the PM service tickets when that preventive maintenance is due. We have a lot of customers that are using this to service themselves. So a lot of manufacturers will have a lot of equipment to make what they're making. Well, they need to service that. So this is a great way to keep a service history and have a PM schedule to service your own equipment. So what I'm going to kind of do now is I'm going to jump into an example that I already put together of this is an engineer to order situation. So this could be indicative of an engineer to order or a big project that we might be doing, and it'll bring in a lot of different concepts that can be used for any different type of manufacturing that we might do. So I just have kind of a generic starting line on this sales order here, and then you can see the billing stream that's written to the sales order. This came from the work ticket, so I was able to, within my work ticket, build milestone billings that will be able to trigger at the appropriate time during the manufacturing process. And when I set those up at the beginning of the job, I was able to put them where they needed to be billed, put the amount we were going to bill on it, and that created my budgeted revenue. And then it wrote that back to the sales order. So when I issue this quote or sales order to the customer, not only can give them a good description of what we're making, they can easily see what the future payment stream is going to be. This first billable line is in red. That means we've actually released it and it's been invoiced. The next one's in green. That's been released but not invoiced yet. Then the next three in black are ones that'll be future billings. So I'm going to just, from this sales order line, I'm going to just drill into the work ticket that's supporting it. If I take a look at the step lookup here, this is giving me a little snapshot of all the steps in the process. I can just sort by activity code here. Here you can see all my billing steps that I've inserted at the appropriate milestone, and I have an activity called billing, and I got a billable line that I can release from there. So we can see that the steps can have a start and an end date. We can assign them to a person if that makes sense. If in a situation where an engineer or an installation person might need to be assigned. We can also have status comments to see what the status of it is. So right from this simple lookup here, I can get a nice recap of what the job's all about. So I'm going to jump into the design system step. We can see I have it scheduled here for these dates. I've assigned it to the engineer to design it. If I take a look at the hours, I can see the time that he's billed. We're also able to change the status of steps within this work ticket or this project that we're doing. So when they start working on it, it can be in process. When it's done, it can be completed, things such as that. And to kind of accommodate this too is in Business Insights, I've built that's the install one actually, wrong one. Here we go, here's my engineering schedule. So here's the work ticket that I was on, and there's that engineer. I've been able to build an engineer schedule to show them what projects they need to work on, where they're scheduled. Here's their budgeted hours, their actual, and we can see what the status is too. So it's able to do some simple scheduling for the engineering department. Regarding project management, here's where I built a step in the process for the customer to actually approve the engineering that was done. And if I go to my status, we can track those status changes and see that, yeah, we sent it to the customer to be approved, and here it came back and it was approved. And whenever those status changes are made, they're date and time stamped also, so we can see how many days it takes to move from one to the next. And then on our Business Insights Explorer dashboards, we can see what the current status of any step is. That can help us know where the overall project is at. I'm gonna jump into my step where I just have some materials. So here's my bill of materials. This could be imported from an outside source. It could come from a template. We could manually create it. We could have inventory items. We can have star parts. We can have slash items on here. This is a real-time system, so if I click on an item, we'll be able to see what the current on-hand quantity is, and we can issue it into inventory or into the work ticket. It'll come out of inventory, go into work in process. We can also have components on it that are linked to purchase orders, and we're able to see on the bottom here what the status of that purchase order is. So a lot of times you'll have outside services that need to be accommodated. I have a step here for outside services. So I've already got an item on here for heat treating that has a purchase order, but I'll just kind of replicate that again and show you how easy it is to create a PO. So let's just say I need 10 of those. There's something else we can do too. Let's say this was something extra that the customer added and we want to bill them for that. If I click on this checkbox here, it's going to make it chargeable, and I'm going to bill them $400 for that. So now what I'm able to do is launch my purchase order, and I'll pick the vendor that it's going to, and we'll create a new purchase order 276. So now it's showing me down here that this outside service is on this purchase order. We can manage the status of that. If I go back to my sales order, you're going to see it wrote back a billable line item to the customer here because we made it a chargeable component. So that works great for price adders and things like that, or things that need broken out separately. Within the same project, I'm doing some field installation. So if I go to this step, I can see that I've assigned it to bill. We can see that any time that bill's put into it. Maybe add some costs in the field that he turned in some invoices for. Over here, this is integrated to Sage's accounts payable. So I can drill down into that AP invoice and see that we have $150 for a forklift rental. So we're able to push that cost into the work ticket. We can see what the status of that step is. And then just like we can do for the engineer, within Business Insights can make a very simple schedule for the install guys. And there's Bill, and we're filtering the installation activity, and he can see what jobs he needs to work on. So close that down. And then I want to see the status of the entire project. I just changed the dashboard a little bit differently. So here I have my whole project. I can see all the steps, where things are scheduled, budgeted hours, actual hours, what our step status is, any status changes, and the date that happened. So it can really help you manage and understand your project really well. So, all right. So that's a quick overview of a work ticket, a lot of functionality that we can do. Let's show you the material planner that goes hand in hand with this. So this is our material planning tool that's going to look at really the deficiencies that we have. It's going to look at all of our inventory items, see what we have on hand, what's coming in on purchase orders, what's being made on work tickets. Then it's going to look at demand from sales order line items, components on work tickets, our inventory stocking levels that we have. And then be able to put a cutoff date in here, how far in the future do I want to do my planning. It'll look for any deficiencies. And then I can analyze the information really easily in a dashboard view here, make it a little bit bigger. So these are my purchased items. Makes the most sense to look at this by vendor. So I'll pick the compact vendor. Here's 2 items that I need to purchase. It's giving me a suggested quantity to buy. I can see what's currently on hand and where the demand's coming from. But then I can drill into the detail and see where the detailed demand is coming from. These longer numbers here are work tickets where it's a component. The shorter one is where we're just selling it as a part on a sales order. I also can see the inventory projection for this item. So I can see we have 8 on hand today, and I have all these sales orders and work tickets that need it, and we aren't buying any, or we're projected to be at a -30 within my planning horizon, so that's why it's telling us to buy 30. So from here, I could change the numbers, I could change the vendor we buy it from, I could put things on hold if I want, and when I'm happy, I simply hit create purchase orders and continue. So now it just launched that purchase order to buy those items, and I can move on planning the next item. It's a very powerful tool, helps things from falling through the cracks, and is usually a big time saver. If you're not using Sage 100C manufacturing, this product's also available as purchase agent to use outside of the manufacturing realm, and that could be helpful too. So a quick little look at scheduling. So the best way to avoid scheduling problems is to set good expectations when you're taking an order. So I'm going to quickly, I'm an unreasonable salesperson, and I'm going to promise the customer that we can ship this item today, and we know that's not going to happen. But here I'm going to go in and pick an item. So when we have a work ticket created, the system's going to know the labor and materials that are needed to make that item. So I just quickly launched the work ticket there. Now I'm able to, in this order or quote, when I click on the promise date, I can run a capable to promise calculation. Well, that should run, and it would show me the earliest possible date this could be completed on if they place the order today. And obviously, if that'll help me set expectations with the customer, hopefully avoid an unreasonable promise date to them, and hopefully avoid some scheduling problems. And once things are on the schedule, so we have a graphical scheduling interface. So this is showing me my days of the week across the top, my work centers down the left-hand side. The white areas are available time. The gray areas are unavailable. The colored bars are the work tickets that are on the schedule. And if the bar is green, it means the job's on time. If it's yellow, it's in danger of becoming late. Red means it is late. And if it's outlined in different colors, it means we have other problems with that job. And if I right-click and go to my exceptions, I can see I'm fine from a schedule hours standpoint. I have 4.5 hours scheduled, 8 hours of capacity. But down here, it's telling me that I have a problem that I'm not going to have enough inventory on hand to have the materials that are needed to perform that operation. And I can drill in and see my inventory status and see, yeah, I'm out of stock on that item, obviously. So this is an example where the material planning and labor planning kind of intersect. And with this interface, we can do cool things like create what-if scenarios and do drag and drop. So I'm going to go into a what-if, and I'm going to drag a work ticket into a different work center, a different day, trying to make things better, but maybe I didn't. And so when I go to exit that, I can say no to apply my changes, and it'll just take me right back to where I was. So it's a quick overview of that. Work with other resellers who necessarily aren't experts at the software, so you can reach out to us if you would like to work with us. We work with a lot of resellers. We also have a user conference coming up end of October that I'll be presenting at, and actually we have representatives from Scanco and APS and a bunch of other vendors. So if you're interested in coming, you can check out our website and sign up for that too. So thank you very much for your time today.
And now we're going to Andrew over at Scanco.
What I'm going to be actually showing you here today is the JO scan automation and how we can actually automate the critical transactions that are real time within Sage Manufacturing and JobOps. That way your Sage Manufacturing team can easily track either the parts usage, the labor tracking, or even status updates and time cards. So what I'm going to jump into here first off is I'm really going to show you some of the things that a lot of our customers actually use regarding some of the hardware. That way you can really envision what we're actually working with. So again, this JO scan software is going to take the transactions that would normally be a very manual within your Sage environment and at the desktop, and we're now going to be putting that on your actual work floor. So what we see a lot of our actual customers using is this would be, for instance, like a desktop terminal that they could use where a little USB wedge scanner can plug right in here. And this unit right here in particular is solid state drive, no moving parts. So you don't have to worry about any dust or any kind of durability problems, as this is meant to be made in a manufacturing environment. And then if you needed to be something a little bit more mobile, we also have tablets that would be able to do all the transactions that we're about to go through. So as you can imagine, whether you have a stationary terminal or whether you have a mobile tablet, you're going to be able to actually track these parts usage and the labor, the times going into these jobs. That way you're going to have a more real-time idea of where your jobs are, what parts are being used, when your parts are going to be running out, and where the actual project is in the actual manufacturing process. So the first step that what we would do is, just as Joe had gone and shown you before, is we would create our work ticket or our job. And so with that work ticket and that job, what we would actually do is actually barcode those tickets. And by barcoding these travelers, this would travel along with the job, allowing the actual user to scan these barcodes as the job is progressing through its life cycle there. So I have this work ticket here right in front of me. And so what we can envision is we've created that work ticket in JobOps and we scheduled it. And so now we've released it onto the production floor. So the first thing that what we really want to do is actually track the parts that are going into these jobs. That way we can have a dynamic inventory, knowing exactly when our parts are going to be depleted, because we know sometimes parts have a long lead time, or, as far as just planning efforts on the actual part side themselves. So our traveler has gone ahead and been thrown out onto the work floor. And so now our user is going to walk up to either that terminal, or maybe they have that iPad device, and they would select the parts usage. What they can do then at that point in time is they would scan in with their employee name, tracking who's actually doing the transaction for high-level purposes that we'll be able to refer back to. They're going to scan the work ticket in which they are starting, and then they're going to scan the actual item that they're issuing out. Now what I want to actually point out is we have a few different things here. We have these little magnifying glasses right here on this screen. These magnifying glasses, they act as drill down boxes. So in the event that you didn't have an item number, you would be able to look up that item number. Or in this case, I just selected the warehouse in which maybe I want to pull the inventory from a different warehouse. Again, this is giving you flexibility to be able to pull the items and be able to look up the items in the event that you didn't have a barcode or you didn't have that information right in front of you. You'll also see that once we actually did this warehouse lookup, we can not only see the warehouse code that we have that's listed in Sage, but the description of that warehouse and then the quantity on hand for that warehouse. So we can just say we're defaulting to our main warehouse. And then as you can see here, what it's also going to tell you on this main screen is not only the quantity that you have on hand, but the quantity that's required for this specific work ticket, as well as what's already been issued out. So you can see here that there has been 0 issued out for this item. And so now I want to issue out the 2 that are required for this job. So I'm going to select that, and then our individual would simply walk away. So now that part has been depleted from inventory and has been applied to this work ticket. If I were to go back into this specific work ticket with that same part, in case somebody else wanted to issue that same part, once again, right down here on our bottom, it's going to give us the messaging that what was required in 2. Before it had a 0 because we had not issued it out, but then we did issue it out. So now it's showing that what we needed and what was needed for that specific work ticket has been fulfilled, letting the user know they can move to the next item. Now, the next couple of different scenarios that might happen as far as maybe there's overissues or substitutions or things like that. Again, we are a very flexible program. So in the event that maybe we've overissued our quantity of the item going onto the work ticket, we don't have to go into Sage. We don't need to have any training with our employees that are out on the field, or not in the field, but in the actual workplace. We would simply be able to scan that work ticket, scan that item that we want to put back into inventory, and instead of putting a positive number like we had done before, now we want to put a negative symbol here. And by putting a negative symbol, what we are doing is a negative issue, putting this inventory back into your Sage environment here. So I will keep note here, the issued quantity is 2 right here. I'm going to put this back into inventory. And so now if I went back into this work ticket to check up on it, you would be able to see that once again, our issued quantity has been taken off because we put that inventory back, or that item back into inventory. What we also work with is lotted and serialized items. So in the event that you have a work ticket that maybe has lotted or serialized items, once you actually scan that lotted or serialized number, the program is going to be able to recognize that because it's talking real time with Sage. And so what will happen is you'll see this distribute button that actually pops open here. So we can see here that we have a required quantity of 2 for this item. So I'm going to put in 2 that needs to be issued out. But now I'm going to hit this distribute button, in which now it's going to show me the lots that are available as well as the quantity on hand available. So the user is going to be able to tell the system what lot it's actually being pulled from and the quantity on hand. So let's just say we want to select that. Once we actually hit that distribute button, we will see that we've distributed the 2. It was deducted from our quantity on hand, and we hit accept, and we're able to walk away, continuing on with our job there. So as you can see, it doesn't necessarily matter whether we're doing positive issues, negative issues, or whether we're working with different types of items. What we're able to do is collect all of that information that you would normally be typing manually in Sage, and we're able to feed that real time back into the Sage 100 C Manufacturing or JobOps. The next thing that users want to be able to do as they're issuing these parts out is we want to start collecting time. Maybe we want to start collecting labor so that way we can start seeing what our actuals versus our budgeted times are. In this case scenario, we can see our labor tracking as a primary little icon right up here. I hit my labor tracking, at which point in time, same simple rhythm, we scan in with our employee name, at which point in time we scan the actual work ticket we are starting. And then based off of the step, it's going to be able to see the activity code. It's going to see that because I have not clocked into this job before, this is a new transaction, and it's automatically going to populate that start time. So all that the user is really having to do is scan their name and scan the work ticket that they're starting. They hit accept, walk away. 5 minutes goes by, 20 minutes goes by, doesn't matter. Whenever they are done, they would walk back up. They're able to scan their name there again, scan the work ticket that they're actually completing, and then as you can see here, it automatically populates the end time. It's very fast, very efficient, and once again, we're collecting that information that you'll be able to use later to have your actuals versus your budgeted times. But let's say maybe you don't want to actually track labor. Maybe the actual status of the job is really important to you. So what we're able to accomplish from a status standpoint is we have our little icon right down here. This is not related and is not going to be collecting the time of the job, but what it will be actually able to do is track the status of the job. So as we can see here, with all of our transactions, they're very simple, very rhythmic, so they're very easy to learn. So you scan in with your employee number, scan the work ticket that you're going to be working on, and then these can be predefined fields that can be made custom in your own Sage environment. As you can see here, I have a list of different items. So maybe for this specific work ticket, I want to select this as yes, I want it to be new, or maybe I want to put it on hold for this project, right? I can hit accept, put that one on hold, and then maybe whenever I'm done, maybe when it doesn't need to be on hold anymore, we can scan that work ticket again. Oh, hold on one second here. We can scan that work ticket again, and then maybe we can take it off a hold. Maybe we can put it back into open production there, giving you that visibility. Now, where is all this information going? Well, we have this JobOps review dashboard right here. And so once I select that icon there, you will see that it's password protected, as this is usually a manager's role. And so once they actually select and get into this dashboard, you're going to see the device name. The device name is going to be either that fixed terminal or that wireless iPad device, letting you know that that's the actual terminal that the actual transaction is taking place. It's going to tell you the sales order number, work ticket number, what step of the production that they're on, who's actually doing the transaction. That way, if you have multiple people working on the transaction and you need to narrow it down to a specific person, you're able to know who's working on what. And then as you can see with our labor tracking right here, it's collecting the time. It has its time stamped to where we're able to see all of that. And then the other really cool thing about this, especially on the labor tracking side, is I've seen this in real life where they say, you know what, hey boss, I clocked out of that job, but you know what, I actually had to go back and work on that for an extra 10 minutes. And you know, I didn't actually register that in there. No big deal. We have what's called an edit mode right down here. So everything that's in this screen can be completely editable. All you would have to do is turn that on. We can change that to 251, save those changes before it's sent to Sage, where it might be a little bit more cumbersome. And so once again, you're able to change any and all of the information that is in here. With our parts usage tab, what we're able to see here is we're able to see, just as we had seen before, what device is actually doing the transaction, the items that are going to the jobs, the quantities, and then especially with our lotted or serialized items, we can view the distributions right here with this link to be able to see what lot was being pulled and the quantity that is being pulled. So that is everything there. What we also have when it comes to JOScan is a time card functionality. So basically what this is not related to the labor tracking, but this is more of just a simple clock in, clock out at the end of the day, to where they could clock in or clock out, as you can see right here, and to be able to register their time and accept that there. And then lastly, what I want to go over is our QC module. Our QC module is something else that can be applied to the actual work tickets themselves. And so we have some basic standard forms that come included with the program, and we could also make custom forms along for you as well if need be. But with these, you're able to actually scan in, scan the work ticket that you might be going through that QC process. And then as you can see here, I have a simple pass and fail. But when I select the fail, now it's going to prompt me for why it failed. Was it electrical? What is it mechanical? Does it have a certain defect code? And so on. So as you can see here, this can be great for applying in an automated fashion right there. You could have your iPad inspecting the product before it's finally put into your finished good. So with that, again, everything is talking real time with the Sage environment. So we're collecting all of that information real time. And with that, I'm going to actually pass it over to Patty at American Business Solutions, or Payment Solutions.
Thank you, Andrew. Business payments, we're all about the service here. And thank you so much. This presentation has definitely been very helpful. Ladies and gentlemen, during today's presentation, we have covered several crucial factors that will help you automate order processing with an integrated Sage 100 eCommerce through Clearnine, a manufacturing solution with JobOps, and a scanning solution with JO Scan with Scanco. So I hope you can see the relationship between one solution and the other, and what your workflow will look like if you use all of the solutions that are being presented today. The last piece of the puzzle are the actual payments. So let's get you paid. So Craig was able to show you during the website order processing side of things, your customers will be able to apply payments right then and there through their website, integrated with Clearnine and American Payment Solutions. We will also allow you to take advantage of level 3 processing, and that's exactly where I'd like to begin. For those of you that are not familiar with level 3 processing, it's a program that was put in place by Visa and MasterCard roughly around 6 years ago, where they offer to lower your rates if you are processing a business-to-business or business-to-government transaction. The average companies are not aware of this program, so they're missing out on the savings of an estimated $18,000 per year. Although I have to tell you, I've actually seen a savings of over $112,000 per year. Now, in order to obtain level 3 rates, you have to submit the fields that you see on the screen to Visa MasterCard. We take advantage of the integrated solutions to pull the data and deliver this data to Visa MasterCard for you. So you can see the item description, the item quantity, the commodity codes, all of this information. We completely automate delivering it to Visa MasterCard and therefore guaranteeing the very lowest rates for you. You can see this is an analysis of a true merchant statement. Now, at the top part, you will see that the merchant had a tiered structure and was really missing out on the level 3 savings. At the bottom, you will see our proposed rates and fees for this particular merchant. We were able to save them almost $17,000 per year, and they had to do absolutely nothing different with their workflow process other than allow us to send and submit the fields to Visa MasterCard for them. We also offer, on top of level 3, a click-to-pay functionality within Sage 100. Now, it's very simple to turn on click-to-pay and level 3. As you can see under Library Master Company Maintenance, we turn on the level 3 with the simple checkbox, and we can turn on click-to-pay. You also have the option to process ACH payments. If you do decide to use click-to-pay, the default customer option can be to opt in or opt out. You decide. It's that simple. Now, what exactly is click-to-pay? We basically added a Pay Now button to the body of the invoice that you send out through paperless Office. There are really no changes that you have to make to standard Sage functionality other than decide which customers you would like to have receive these emailed invoices with the Pay Now button. You can see that my default was to opt in all of my customers. Now I have the option to opt out by customer. Credit card processing is very standard Sage functionality as well. We try not to have you exit Sage under any circumstances, and we basically allow you to continue processing payments except for the fact that now we've added the credit card payment as an option. Now you can add credit cards here at the customer maintenance level or add them on the fly anywhere that you're allowed to process a credit card transaction. You are allowed to process credit card transactions in sales order entry, sales order invoice data entry, and apply payments to accounts receivable cash receipts. Now what I did as everybody was presenting, I created a sales order invoice and I actually sent it to my customer through paperless Office. Now let's take a look at the customer side of things, and the customer is now receiving the invoice. And once again, this is very standard. Your customers are receiving their invoices as you are printing them out through paperless Office. And what we'll do now is, as the customer will review the invoice, the items on the invoice, and decide to pay for the invoice by clicking on the Pay Here button. Now, once they click on the Pay Here button, they will be forwarded to a secured website, which will show all of the information relevant to the invoice down to the line level detail, and they can then decide to make the payment. Now, once they click on Make the Payment, notice how they will be able to view and choose from a list of invoices. And you can see this is one of my worst customers. They never really pay. I have tons of invoices to choose from. Now they can choose to pay the full balance or a custom amount. Let's just say I'm going to pay for this one invoice. I can enter a brand new credit card number, or if I was given the option to pay with a bank account, I can also choose that. And I could save this payment method or use a previously used payment method. Let's just say I'm going to enter a brand new payment method right now. And it's this simple. You can see that I've already used it in the past. And now let's just enter an expiration date and a CVV code. Now once I submit the card, the transaction will go through our gateway. We will verify the gateway, the information provided is a match. If it is, the transaction will be successful and we will give you a transaction ID. We will also send your customer a receipt letting them know the transaction has been processed. So on the customer side of things, they're happy. They know the payment was made. And now let's jump back to the end user side of things and find out what happens back when they're in Sage. So basically, the transaction has been sent to accounts receivable cash receipts. And now in order to complete the transaction, all you have to do is click on the APS Click to Pay button within your cash receipts deposit screen. And once you do that, all of the transactions that were processed through Click to Pay will enter and be populated into cash receipts. I'm going to go ahead and accept this. And now all I have to do is choose my customer, and I will be able to see the list of invoices that were paid by customer. Ladies and gentlemen, notice how this is a completely automated enhancement. All you have to do is turn on paperless office, send out your invoice, and your customer will now enter their own payment. All you have to do is accept the payment by clicking on the Click to Pay button. Now, in addition to Click to Pay, we also offer other types of benefits when you join or when you become an American Payment Solutions merchant. If you do, you will not be charged for the credit card processing module. There is no setup, training, maintenance, or support fees. We provide all of this at no charge. Level 3 processing is available and completely automated. We also offer 12-hour funding across all card brands, especially if we have you on American Express Opt Blue. We provide assistance with PCI compliance at absolutely no charge as well. And we have a 24/7 support team, which we guarantee whenever you call us, there will be a live human being. I should say, whenever you call the support line, there will be a live human being on the other side of the line. We provide very transparent merchant statements. And we also provide free audits of your current credit card processors' rates and fees. Now, you really can't go wrong with the free audit because you will be able to find out where the bank makes their money, where the card brand makes their money, and where the processor makes their money, but most importantly, where exactly there is room for savings. Not only level 3, there may be other fees on there that we call junk fees and we can get rid of. We also guarantee our rates in writing, so you don't have to worry about the rates creeping up on you. Last but not least, we provide a migration utility for those of you that are processing with Sage Payments or Paya. You won't have to rekey in all of your credit card information. We will definitely do it for you. We are also flattered and honored to be participating in the user group with Joe Genders and his team. We look forward to seeing everybody there. And with that, I'd like to hand it back over to you, Adrian.
And this is recorded. We are going to be sending out the recording after this presentation. And all the contact information as well will be included. And we just thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to join us. We know it's hard to come by, and we really, really appreciate you spending it with us. And we hope to see you on a future webinar. Thank you so much to all the presenters and the attendees. Take care. Have a great day.